Hey there guys, so today I'm bringing you an equipment review. I haven't done one of these in a little while, and I'm honoured to have been sent this collar in order to review. It was sent to me by my dear friend David McKelson out at Pro Dog Training. Dave is one of the upper crust of dog trainers in terms of his skill set, and like myself and people I would consider peers, we very much appreciate good gear. We don't tend to fit a lot of it. Some people will go out to train their dogs and they'll be kitted out in sweatbands and, you know, this thing and that thing and whips down their back and whatever else. Sure, you need equipment to train your dog, but I like to keep it as minimal as possible, because if I'm going to trial my dog, or if I'm going to have my dog out in public, my dog's not going to be kitted up in a big way. But one of the consistents that my dog is going to be wearing out in public is a collar, and had I not dropped almost $400 on new collars for my 3 dogs earlier this year, I can tell you right now that all 3 of them would be wearing one of these T-bone collars. So let me break it down for you a little bit. This particular variant is one of the earlier ones that Dave sent me, and it runs stainless fittings all round. So we've got stainless buckle, stainless D-ring, and we've got, if you can see them here, stainless rivets. Stainless steel, I shouldn't need to tell you, tends to do very well in the weather, right? And of course, dog collars do tend to get wet. And so if you're buying equipment based on longevity, typically speaking, the fittings that you're going to look for are going to be either brass or stainless. Now, I understand that Dave has shifted across to brass fittings on the newer collars, and aesthetically I think that that's even more pleasing than the stainless steel. And of course, brass does not rust, but it does tend to get a nice patina on it with time, so I'm a big fan of that. All right, so let's start with the fitting and the fixtures. As I've already pointed some of that out, but I want to point out to you the buckle here, guys. So one of the problems that you're going to encounter when you're looking for a buckle on your collar, on any collar you're going to purchase, right? If you're looking for durability and security, which for a working dog, like a dog that would be that the T-bone collar here would be super suited to, the buckle is the key point of failure in the majority of collars. So what you want to do with a buckle is this thing here. I call it a barrel. There's probably a more correct name for it, but as you can see, that's pressed stainless around here, and what that does is it actually adds thickness to the buckle itself, and makes it more difficult for this tongue to slip through the buckle. Now, when you're looking at buckles and you're testing the strength of buckles, what you want to do is grab your thumb and, as hard as you can, push this across. I'm going to use 2 thumbs, right? And if you can get in there is absolutely no chance that the tongue of this buckle is going to be able to pass through the buckle. Of course, if this does push through to the other side, the collar now pulls undone. So that's extremely important, and that's one of the things that you pay for in a good collar, is a great choice of hardware. It costs people that manufacture collars, by comparison to the cheap fixtures, it costs them a lot more to produce really high quality fixtures. Now, I've been informed that this is a rated D-ring. That's my understanding, and it's extremely unlikely that you're going to see something like this give. But again, the buckle tends to be the failure point. This would be equal or number 2 in terms of failure points, and this is something that you want to watch. So as you go on over time, it tends to be more of a problem with heavier dogs like your Rottweilers and your Mastiffs, but these can begin to lose their shape, and sometimes the steel can fatigue and actually break, and it'll often break at the attachment point. But when you get good fittings like this, they tend to be tacked welded at that meeting point where they're pressed together in manufacture. So again, that bodes well for the longevity of the collar. These rivets are stainless. I've mentioned stainless earlier. One of the reasons that people like stainless is because it weathers really well. So the washers on the back are also stainless, which is a tremendous boon to longevity, as I've mentioned. All of these sections here are also box stitched. Okay, it takes more skill to manufacture a collar this way, and it certainly adds to the strength, and the same is the case all the way down the collar here. Now, this is a 2-layer collar, as you can see from the construction. It's a 2-layer collar, which is wonderful. It just adds extra strength, extra weight. You really know that you have this collar in your hand. It's not a collar that is flimsy or that the dog is going to forget its wearing while it's getting used to it. I think this is great. Now, one of the issues that we can also find in collars is too much flexion up around where the fittings are. So to deal with this problem, what Dave has organised is what appears to be polypropylene. That's my understanding when I was talking to Dave. So there's some plastic insert which runs about this far into the collar, which adds further durability and reduces flexion, which is really what you want in a collar that you're looking for longevity and reliability from. Obviously, being a bit of a gear whore, I would far prefer to save up and buy something great once than to buy 3 collars that were shitty quality. And given the price point, I believe at the moment Dave's selling these for around $90. I actually think that that's a really, really very fair price for a very high quality collar that Pro Dog, Dave's business, is going to stand behind. And for those of you that know anything about Pro Dog, they're very much a reputation based business, and so I would have every faith and expectation that Dave and Pro Dog will stand behind their collars should anyone have any problems. However, based on the way this sucker is put together, I think it's very unlikely that anyone's going to experience any real kind of problem. The design is very sound. Now, let's buckle this up and take a look at one more aspect that I would really like to cover off on with you, just to make this a thorough review. So, first of all, the body of the collar passes through this D-ring. Passes through the D-ring, then through the buckle, and then this this buckle loop here holds the loose body of the collar in place. This is very important to understand, and I consulted with Dave on the manufacture of this collar. Here, I was actually really honoured that he asked me, and he actually included all the recommendations that I made, which I thought was great. He was really looking to create a great quality piece of kit here. So the reason that we had this, or when I say we, Dave had this D-ring put here, is because when the dog is pulling on the collar, we don't want the buckle sitting around the dog's throat. It doesn't make any sense. It's a potential rub point at the point where there's going to be the most friction between the dog and the equipment. So by moving this around, right, and what that does is it moves that stress point back onto a smooth portion of the collar. And so now I can actually, there's two things. Number one, my dog's throat is being treated a little more nicely. Number two, when the dog is pulling on this collar and I'm looking down the collar, I can get a read on this buckle very easily. Just stick my head slightly out to the side, and then as I do that, I can see that that buckle is in place, right? Because if I'm going to be watching my dog and I bring my eyes down, I follow my eyes down the leash to the collar, I want to be able to look at that and know that things are still engaged should I need to. So look, that's it for now. It's a longer review, but I wanted to be kind of thorough because I really am impressed with this. Once again, it's the T-Bone collar from Pro Dog Training. I thoroughly recommend that you reach out to Dave. prodogtraining.com.au, I believe, is the website. And for those of you that are looking for a serious bit of kit that is likely to last a very long time and have the materials and the workmanship backed by an Australian-owned small business, I can't recommend the T-Bone enough. That's it for now, guys. Get out and get a T-Bone.